Hello, this channel is all about graphic design in tabletop role-playing games, and today we're looking at the design of Candela Obscura, which is the Critical Role role-playing game. It's not Daggerheart, it's their other one. It's an investigation style game. So we have a few tools to do this. One, we're going to use our eyes and we're going to look at it. We also have this, which is a proofreader's loupe attached to my phone, and we can zoom in. Right, see that? Oh, it says hi. That's polite. That'll be handy for investigating. And we're also going to take notes, right? And then we're going to recreate this book and this style using Adobe InDesign. And this advice should be applicable to Affinity Publisher as well. So let's do this in two phases. First, we will take a look and investigate what's inside and take a list of the kinds of things we need to replicate in our design. And then we'll get to the busy work of actually recreating this stuff in InDesign. Here's H1, squiggly lined underneath. H2, all caps, left aligned. H3, bold, sentence case, left aligned. And then H4, check this out. It's kind of the same size as the body text, and it's left aligned and it's bold. And then we might even call this H5, where it is bold, colon, and then the rest, kind of like an inline header. So we have 5 headers. Let's take our notes. It looks like the only real body paragraphs are this basic text, which is probably about like 10 point, and then this indented italic text for like read aloud text. So that's really simple. We can do that. Let's take a look at dot points. So the dot points they have here, we have these ones here, which are circles, and then these ones here, which are diamonds. I don't know the difference between them. Like, I don't know why we're using a circle versus why we're using a diamond. Maybe that will be clear soon. Let me show you the circle. So it's some kind of glyph which has got like an uneven line on the outside and then a central dot. We're just going to find a fancy circle to put in there. And then these diamond glyphs, let's take a look at these. So these look like just rotated squares, kind of bolded. Here we go. Numbered lists. These look pretty simple. Just the same font as the actual body text, with maybe like a 3 or 4 mil in between the number and the actual little dot point there. I kind of like how the number is flush with the title. I think that's kind of cute. And they've got 3 mil after them. Easy peasy, we can do that. Now, let's take a look at page elements. I sometimes call this page dressing, page elements, page filigree, or the folio work. It's the kind of stuff that's going to appear on every page. And what I'm looking at is I'm looking at this little squiggle up here, this squiggle down here, this page number. They've got a title here for the actual game, Candela Obscura. This looks like this is a section. The supernatural world, and then we have squiggles down here and squiggles down here. So let's actually draw that, because we're going to actually have to design squiggles that are similar to these, but we also need to know the spacing of where this is in relation to the page. It looks to me like there's about like 1 or 2 centimeters on the sides of the page, and then the same on the bottom, and the top is a little bit higher. But I don't really like that. I think I kind of want it to be 2 centimeters all around. So that's what I'll do. Let's briefly draw what the actual page elements look like on the spread. So if you have a page, looks like that. The spread is when you open the book all the way flat. And then in that spread, we're going to have some layouts. This would be called a flat plan sometimes, where you draw the page and then you just kind of doodle what you think should go on it. So we've got kind of like an L shaped up there. We've got an L shaped up there. We've got like a squiggle here with the title. And it's there as well. And there's a squiggle there. We've got an L shape over here, an L shape over here. There's nothing on the internal corners. And what else did we have? Oh, we have the section. There is somebody speeding past my office on a big motorbike, excuse me. And then we have our page numbers in circles down here. So this can be, I'll just do a 2. I don't know why I'm doing a 2, but that's a number, right? A number goes right there. Now let's take a look at tables and breakout boxes, because it seems like there's 2 or 3 styles of each in here. And by the way, we're nearly done. We nearly have a full accounting for all the styles that are in this book, and it all fits on a single page. Okay, here is the most dominant style of breakout box. These are, so this is kind of like a yellowed off-white faded paper old style page. And then in that we have this shock white bit. It's got these little, what do you call these? Maybe inlet? A little kind of cutout here on the border. And then it has a gold trim. Let me give you a close up of that. So here we go. You see that? It's just got like a little, I don't know, that's like a little 2 or 3 mil cutout there, a little curve. And then right on the edge, it's got a gold trim. And that'll be the same color swatch, that gold. That's the same color swatch that we'll see used up here on this filigree and probably in some header fonts, I imagine, throughout. But check this out. Even though it's in this breakout box, we're actually seeing these styles reused and crammed into this box. Look, there's a header. There's a first body paragraph. And inside here, we also have to allow for, here's a dot point that has the H5 bold up to colon style. This one has a different layout. It doesn't have that first paragraph. And I'd imagine in some of these, we're probably going to see numbered lists and we're probably going to see diamonds throughout. So our paragraph styles need to account for every variation. Any kind of style that can go outside one of these text boxes also needs to work inside one of these text boxes. And I'm not going to go through the labor of finding an example of each. I just guarantee that they've probably done it somewhere, so we might as well. But there is another kind of breakout box. Check this out. Here we go. This I would call a breakout box as well. We have the font there that is italicized, and then on the corners, we've actually got this filigree. Got a swirl down there, and then nothing, and it reconnects up here. And this shape is actually reflected. So they've kind of flipped it so that that corner is the same as that corner and vice versa. So we also need to account for these. However, I have flipped through the whole book and I haven't found any instance of like wacky formatting inside this. This one seems pretty standard. It's either italic paragraph with a header or no header and italic paragraph. So the first one was this shape with the white interior and the gold border, and then it has these little cutouts and text in the middle. And this needs to have all styles, can't spell styles, all styles need to work in that one. The next one was the fancy one, and it has a header and then text beneath. That was italic. Now the third one is one we haven't looked at yet. I'm kind of including tables as a breakout box in this instance. Normally tables would be their own thing because these kinds of books are full of tables, but this one doesn't have many tables. So I'm like, it kind of feels like the same scarcity as a breakout box. Let me find one for you. They are super rare. I think there's only like 3 tables in this whole book, but here's one. So check out what they've got. They don't have a header, but I imagine they could. They have a bold legend, which is all caps, but it's actually, let me show you close up. It's not just all caps, it's all caps, small caps. Look at that. Big capital Q, and then a little capital U-E-S, the rest of the word. And then we just have alternating colors, and that will be a variation of the same swatch that they've used for the border of some things and for the fill of this filigree. But take a look at this. They have a custom illustrated bit of filigree for the middle. Oh my God, where is it? Oops. Sorry, I don't know how to use my own stupid thing. Isn't this janky, by the way? I had the loupe just hanging around, and then so I just built like a little apparatus out of paddle pop sticks to hold my phone. But take a look at this. So there's the line. In the center, we have this kind of eye shape. It kind of bends around and then it ends in a point While we're at it, let's take an actual proper look at what's in these corner filigrees as well. So bottom right, it's got some squiggles and then a kind of wave, and it comes around a circle. Looks like it goes 2 centimeters in either direction, maybe 2.5. Top right, we have, where are we? We have some squiggles at the end. And then we have this kind of circle thing here. Looks kind of like a globe. Now, this symbol here is the logo of the game. So I'm reluctant to copy this one too closely, but it looks like we have a circle within a circle, and there's some kind of Mandela shape there. And then we have a shorter line over here. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this horizontal line at the top is the exact same length as this horizontal line down at the bottom. And then we have down here in the very bottom, under the logo of Candela Obscura, very spaced out letters, we have this same kind of eyeball that we found up here in the table filigree. And then we have like some swirlies. So we can make all of that. So let's quickly just complete our notes and then we'll be sweet. Does this look psychotic? If I were to die in my studio and they find this, they're going to go, oh, yeah, Matt went mad taking notes about this stupid book. All right, let's open up InDesign and start making stuff. So like any blank project, I start using my blank TTRPG template. This is a document that already has styles loaded, like the structure for headers and lists and breakout boxes and read alouds and tables and all kinds of things. I also have my layers set up so that I have my copy on a separate layer. I've got my page background. I've got my images. I've got my folio. It's all color coded. It's all just the way I like it. And this is how I start every project. If you want to download this, you can get it for free on my Patreon right now. I don't want to waste my time illustrating stuff right at the start when I don't know 100%. It's kind of like making a piece of IKEA furniture. You know, you don't put in one screw and then tighten it all the way and then put in the next one. You put them all in a little bit and kind of tighten them in increments as you go. So I went to my background, my folio background layer, and this is my master page. And I was like, okay, we're going to have a circle shape up here and then a line, and then we're going to have a big line coming all the way down. And in the bottom right, we've got the page number in a circle and then some lines. We know we're going to have some squigglies down here in the middle. And then this is all just going to be mirrored. And we will illustrate these properly and replace them later. So let's just go through the list that we have here and recreate these styles. First thing, we want to work with some placeholder text. So you can right click, fill with placeholder text. Beautiful, beautiful gibberish. Don't you love it? Okay, so we need a header. This is going to be our H1. There's our header. Delore, come. So we've put, I've put a stroke underneath this. And that was just a Control-Shift-N to bring up this rule. And you'll see that I've put the color swatch there as a placeholder, right? This is a swatch that I use in every single document, just a bold pink swatch that I know I need to replace it at some point. And it's because in the book, you'll recall, they had a big fancy squiggle. There's no way that I can make InDesign draw an automatic big fancy squiggle. That is a custom illustration that I will have to put over the top of this pink layer later. So what about our H2? That was all caps, left aligned, and quite big. Now this is somewhere where I would personally deviate from the design they have in this book, because they have a lot of space after their H2 heading. And if I come down here, look at the comparative space between the H3 and the body. There's like, I don't know, there's a lot of difference between those two spaces. The H3 was just regular lowercase, H4 was small. I'm just gonna make H2 have 1 mil after it. I think that looks a lot better. But none of this placeholder text is the correct body. Because remember, the body is going to be Times New Roman, and it's going to have 3 mil after it. So let's just apply that everywhere. And it's starting to look a little bit better now. There's one kind of header that we're missing. Remember, there's H1, 2, 3, 4, which is this little one, and then 5 was that inline. And that inline header said that we would have a paragraph that has a colon, and then all of this would be bold. Now, there are two ways you could do this. Here's two examples, right there, right there. So you could just go find all of those colons and then go up here and bold it. Or you can make a custom paragraph style that detects whether it fits that format. That's what I've got over here, and it's something fancy you can do with grep. I don't know what grep stands for, I can't remember, but here's a little bit of code. This is doing a search function on the paragraph, and it says, at the start of the paragraph, we are going to find every single character until we hit a colon. And then when we hit that colon, we're going to apply a character style that I've made called bold. Here's what it looks like when you apply it. I click this button and it detects it and applies it automatically. So over here, we can explore the three kinds of dot points that we have. Let's just put an H3 on all of these. We have three kinds of dot points. There are circles, there are diamonds, and there are numerals. And the numerals are going to be flush with the header, and the dot points, like the actual bullets, the circles and the diamonds, they are going to be indented. They're going to be indented about 1 centimeter, and then with the dot point appearing halfway along that distance. So the cool thing is, you might be going, yeah, they didn't just have a circle though, Matt, they had a fancy circle. They had a circle and it was kind of thicker on one side than the other, and it had a dot in the middle. You can't type that, genius. Well, hey, check this out. Your dot points can be anything that you want. Here's what I made. We have our bullets, we have our diamonds, and then we have our numbers that should be flush. Okay, but look at these symbols that we've got. That circle actually it's got like some horns, it's got like a little butt down there, that's cute. And then we have this diamond. It's not just a rotated square, look at that. It's got like a curve on it. I love a cube with a curve. And you can do this in your paragraph style menu. So let me go to the circle paragraph style, and I go down here to bullets and numbering. This bit here, bullet character. You can click add, and here in the font of Times New Roman is every single symbol that is typable using this font in every single language. I could put like Chinese characters here, Arabic stuff. Here, this one's like a star. Right, let's do this one. That one's actually better than what I picked, so we'll click OK on that. And we've changed it to like a little pirate ship thing. This second bullet style down here with the curved diamonds, that is always going to be italic because that's the way it is in the book. And then these numbers are flush. They are not indented, which I think is a little bit stylish. The next thing on our list, as I'm looking here, we've only got two things to do. We've got the filigree on the sides, like the folio stuff, and then we've got the breakout boxes. So let's do breakout boxes first. Looks like the first kind of breakout box is the one that has the white interior, the gold border, and it's got the circles carved out on the side. So this is a little bit tricky because when I make one of these paragraphs, let me just bang out a breakout box for you. Look at that. That's what I came up with. Now, do you notice the spacing here? We have a lot of space before the paragraph, and then we have a lot of space after the paragraph. That's because this indent isn't just on the horizontal, like these horizontal sides, it's also vertical. That means that the first paragraph of every one of these breakout boxes needs to have space before, and the last paragraph needs to have space after. So I've had to do a stupid little structure for this breakout box. Take a look at on the right over here at my breakout box. I have breakout firsts, breakout body, and breakout lasts. All these lasts have the space after, all the firsts have the space before. So let's construct this. I'll show you. Here's a header. Then we bang on a body. And then, hey, what about some dot points in here as well? This is in the center, so it's the body. And then we got the last, so we go to last, and this is going to be body. But this style, these breakout boxes, they were writing all kinds of stuff in this book. They would put every single paragraph style that is relevant elsewhere in the document also needs to be applicable inside these breakout boxes. So we can do like this dot point here, maybe that wants to be bold. Maybe this last one, maybe that wants to be bold. So put the colon in there and go, body H5 right there. And it's all possible here. Now let's take a look at the second breakout box, which could have a title or no title, and it has the filigree above and the filigree below. And this is going to work in a similar way to this header that we had up here. Remember I said we're putting a rule below in pink because we are going to replace it later because InDesign can't do our fancy drawing for us. It is the exact same thing with this filigree on this second breakout box. Let me grab this bit here. We'll do it to this paragraph. H4, and look, it's painting our lines for us. And the last paragraph here is the body. Now, do you see all the work that this line is doing for us? It's coming outside the actual text box, and it's coming far below. So when we put our filigree on, we're just going to place it over that line. How did I draw these lines? Let me show you. When I click over here on paragraph, not paragraph styles, I can see that I have a border drawn on this. If I want to get into the options, I can press Alt and then click once, and we've got all these fancy options. And each of these have a different border drawn on them. That's the exact same way that I did this over here, right? So if I click here, I have a border, and this is where I drew those curves. I changed these corners. I don't know what you'd call this, kind of like a bevel thing. But I did that on the first, and I did that on the last, and then the color in the background here, because you can see that it is a little bit off-white, I did that with shading. Next, the last thing we have to do is the filigree and the page background. So let's do that. And this is going to start looking very beautiful. First, the page background. This book has a kind of like old weathered paper style. And so I wanted to find a picture of, or a scan of an old paper texture. So I went to unsplash.com. This is where you can find, this isn't sponsored. Okay. I don't even know if they make money. But it's where you can find Creative Commons stock art, and there's heaps of stuff. So here's old paper. And there's heaps of options here. The one that I landed on was a picture of a spread. Let me show you. Where is it? This is the one that I landed on because I can blow this up and I can rotate it, and that can be kind of the spine there. So I set up a Photoshop document that is US letter style, and I have a different folder for my left page and my right page. And that's the difference between them. But I did process the image a little bit. Here's how it came into me, right? It is quite dark. And when I looked at the page in this book, it actually has a dark section on the corner, but whenever there's text, it's actually noticeably lighter. So I'm trying to preserve some of the grain while carving out some color space so that the text is actually legible. I just applied some filters just to lighten it up. And then on the opposite side, I did the exact same thing. And then immediately when this is on the page, this looks so much better. So I've placed these on my bottom layer, the background layer, and these are all applied to the master page. So automatically this is propagated across the entire document. Any changes you make to your master page will be reflected in the rest of the document. I just noticed that I've broken something, and at some point these numbers have gotten indented, but I'm going to ignore that for now. We can fix that later. So now let's go to our master page and look at the things we need to illustrate here. We've got the top right, the bottom right, and then the center, and then it's all reflected on the other side of the page. Which program do you think you're meant to use for this stuff? We are using InDesign for messing around with text and layout. We used Photoshop to lighten and edit the image of the background page. We would actually use Illustrator to draw this stuff. My intention when I was making this was to make a time lapse of me illustrating these, but it didn't work. So I'll just show you what the final thing is. So right at the bottom of the page, They have like a eye with some spikes and some swirls. That's what we landed with there. Then in the bottom left and the bottom right, we have space for the page number. Then this here is in the top left. It's got about 2 centimeters to the down and 2 centimeters to the right. This thing here in the middle was kind of fun. I just typed and found like a glyph in the same way that I was finding those bullet points for my dot points. And then I just duplicated it and like did a rotate on it, right? That's just a symbol, and then I expanded it and kind of folded it in there. Just a fancy little shape. And it's all going to be so small, I don't think you'll be able to see how janky this is. Top right, it is the same symbol, but the difference is we have a longer tail down here at the bottom, because there is going to be written the section header. Then we have the divider, the squiggle that goes underneath the H1, and it's got these kind of feathers on the left and the right, and then they just have just a kind of a general squiggle in the middle. I didn't really like this at first, but I don't know. Now that I've made it, I kind of like it. Isn't that stupid? And then the divider that's going to go above the tables. This is where we kind of ended up. You know, a big H1 with a line underneath. Header 2, look at this. It looks like a document, right? And these down here, so cute, so cute. And then we also have these, I made a table while you weren't looking. So let me show you a document that I made using this template. This is a project that I had written for me by Roman Penner, and it is all about ciphers. So I'll put it in preview mode and we'll see how all these styles ended up. This is the cover. It's just a little bit of stock art, and then it's got the kind of gold feeling. So I use that. Look at this. We have this paragraph style can go over 1 column or 2 columns. Here's your table down there with the line, your squiggle right there, your indent with the italics for the kind of read aloud text where there's a story happening. Down here on the bottom right, that's the second style of breakout box. Let's put a bit of art there. I don't know, it just came out pretty good. I've got to lighten this up. This isn't the final layout, by the way. I'm still working on this one. And if you want to hire me for a layout project, you can go to heyitsmattyp.com/commissions to see whether I am currently available for work. And if you have a book you want me to check out, you can mail it to me. There's a link down below to my post office box address, and you can send me any book and I'll take a look at it.